As everybody flocked to the grid for the last time, it was all smiles, and everyone was excited to see what the 32nd and final race had in store for us. What it did have in store for us was an interesting front row with Antonio Albacete and Mark Taylor. He and Steffi Halm were both hoping to score some interesting points to keep themselves afloat in certain championships, and they certainly did it in this final one. It was quite stable in terms of positions. There was a little bit of movement here and there towards the tail end of the order, but everybody held station into the latter stages. It was Sasha Lenz making the early moves, but he would not ultimately get past Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. He would finish, like I say, in 5th place in all 4 races this weekend. There was a good fight between Norbert Kisch and René Reinert, eventually Norby dialing it back slightly to just make sure that he brought the truck home in one piece, and obviously anticipating a fight ahead as Sasha Lenz pushed on, trying to get past the 38 of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. It was Antonio Albacete at the front of the order, leading from Mark Taylor. Mark doing everything he needed to do to win the Chrome Championship, while Bradley Smith tried to catch up to John Newell and the likes of Clemens Hecker and Lucas Hahn a bit further down. Luckily for the drivers, it wasn't as dusty as it was yesterday afternoon, but the damage was clearly on show for Stefan Faas. Unfortunately, contact with him meant that Luke Garrett would not complete the race, and he would end his season on a low note after a difficult weekend here in Jarama. Norbert Kisch rounded out his 7th championship with an 8th place finish, but he wouldn't mind at all after taking such a dominant win through the championship all year. But it was Antonio Albacete at the front that kept setting the pace and stayed out in front for the majority and for the entirety to take his 2nd race win of the season and to give the home crowd here in Spain something to shout about that he would be celebrating now long into the night. A lovely sight to see for the driver with over 900 races in truck racing. Albacete back on top and a great celebration. Let's go back into the paddock or the pit lane, wherever Lena may be, and she's catching up with a driver that's had a pretty good day.